Hey everybody, CinemaSick this year again to talk to you about what I bought when I watched today. And welcome to the first day of the annual Cinema Sickness Halloween Horror-thon. We'll be watching nothing but Halloween titles from today, the 22nd, the first day of fall, all the way up to October 31st, Halloween. It's going to be very, very exciting. I have some great titles in store for you guys. But today, headed out to the Quakertown Farmers Market, picking up a bunch of great titles, so let's take a look at what I got. The first thing I picked up were 3 CD soundtracks, all for $1 a piece, and the first one was the soundtrack to Sugar and Spice. A rather mediocre soundtrack, not a big fan of this one, popped it in, listened to it, it was okay. Really full of a bunch of bands who are some of those bands where you're not quite sure if they're a pop-punk band or they're kind of just an alternative band that kind of has that pop-punk sort of sound. It's a bunch of that, and I just wasn't a big fan of this. I mean, I do like punk music, obviously, I'm a huge fan of punk music, but not necessarily a fan of what this had to offer, because like I said, it's a bunch of bands where you're just not quite sure if they are punk or not, you don't know. Although it does have the song Ready to Go by Republica, that I do like. That's the one song on here I was a fan of. The rest, not really, but had the movie, so had to get the soundtrack. Next I picked up the soundtrack to The Flintstones. And this here is a little bit of half and half. It's a little bit mediocre, but a little bit cool at the same time, because it does have some really good stuff on it. First off, it has this theme song to The Flintstones, sung by the B-52s. I actually really like that cover. But this also has Anarchy in the UK by Green Jelly. And their cover of it is actually Anarchy in Bedrock, basically. It's all about, it's a song Anarchy in UK by the Sex Pistols that they're covering, but it's all about Bedrock and the Flintstones. And it's really funny. And if you've ever heard Green Jelly, they're not exactly a type of band that you would think would ever make it onto something like a Flintstone soundtrack. Granted, that song isn't really, raw or anything. There's nothing really bad about the song. It's a very tame song for the most part. But if you've ever heard any of the other songs off the album that song's on, which is the Serial Killer soundtrack, not exactly kid-friendly. That soundtrack is very, very anti-kid-friendly. Very, very interesting and graphic stuff on that album. So I found it really interesting that Green Jelly even made it to here. And it also features the Bedrock Anthem by Weird Al Yankovic, and that's really cool too. Love that song. And of course it has Walk the Dinosaur by Was Not Was, and I love that song when I was a little kid, so very happy to hear that. So again, it's an okay soundtrack. It has a few good songs on it that I would recommend picking up just for those really cool songs, but everything else that's on it, it's not all that great. And the last soundtrack that I picked up was the soundtrack to Forrest Gump. This is amazing. This is one of those soundtracks, and this is a 2-disc soundtrack that you can listen to from start to finish and never skip a song. With the exception of, it's called Forrest Gump Suite by Alan Silverstreet or something like that, which is just like an instrumental kind of the Forrest Gump music, I guess. And, okay, that I pretty much skipped over. Listened to about a minute of it and said, okay, I'm done listening to the soundtrack now. So with the exception of the last song on here, you're not going to want to skip through anything. It's great, great music. As it says, 32 American classics on 2 CDs. And yes, definitely some American classics. I mean, obviously you gotta like music from like the 60s and 70s. You gotta be really into that to really enjoy this. But I am a fan of that kind of music, especially the more mainstream stuff, the more, the stuff you would hear on, oldies radio stations. I'm a big fan. So this here was a great, great buy, and I would definitely recommend picking up this soundtrack. Then for $3, picked up the UMD copy of Walk Hard, The Dewey Cox Story. This is one of my favorite comedies. I'm a huge, huge fan of this movie. I think it is hilarious. I watch it all the time. It is brilliant. Now, $3 is a bit more than I would normally like to pay for a UMD. Usually try to keep it about 2 or under, because these usually are pretty cheap when you come across them at flea markets and yard sales. But this here is brand new, never opened. In fact, they had a whole bunch of them. The table that I picked this up from had a ton of UMDs. And if they would have been cheaper, I would have bought more, but I just picked up the one I wanted the most, which is the Dewey Cox Story, since, like I said, I'm a huge, huge fan of Walk Hard. I love this film. So for $3, brand new, never opened, I thought it was a good enough deal. Then I picked up 2 DVDs, both for $2.50 a piece, and the first one was An Empress and the Warriors, a Dragon Dynasty film. I'm trying to get the entire Dragon Dynasty collection. Of course, will that ever happen? I don't know, but every time I come across one, definitely have to pick them up. Have not seen a bad Dragon Dynasty film yet, so for $2.50, definitely had to grab this one. And the next $2.50 film I grabbed was Battle Los Angeles, a movie I've been wanting to see for a while now. I've heard good things about this. I heard it was a pretty decent movie for the most part, and for $2.50, this was a steal. The next title I grabbed only paid $1 for. It was actually marked at $2, but the wife really wanted to see this one too, and she chipped in $1, and that was Revolutionary Road. This is a movie that I had some interest in seeing, but it was one of those movies that I really wanted to rent first. I was probably just going to go to Redbox, rent it, see what it was all about. Unfortunately, I never got around to renting it, and the wife really wanted to see this one too, and that's why she chipped in $1. She said she'd just give me $1 towards it, and we could check it out together, and if it sucks, whatever, we only both wasted $1. So for that, figured, what the hell, I'll pick it up, check it out, hopefully it's good. Then I picked up 3 PVDs for the Video Now player for a total of $5. Figured that was a pretty good deal, and the first one was Fairly Odd Parents Volume 9. This comes with 2 episodes, Ruled Out, and That's Life. Definitely wanted to grab this one. Then I grabbed Cartoon Network Volume 1, which comes in this ridiculous oversized DVD case. I hate this. Now I know why they did this. If you open it up, you can see they just kind of put the discs in like that. And these discs are a little bit smaller than a DVD. They're just a little bit tinier. And if you've seen a DVD case, sometimes they have the cases where the discs kind of overlap each other. That's really what they should have done here. They shouldn't have made this big honking case, because now this isn't going to fit on my shelf with the rest of my PVDs. And that sucks. And even for somebody who's not a collector, if a little kid buys this, most likely they're going to stick these on their shelves with the rest of their DVDs, their VHS tapes, whatever videos they have. This isn't going to fit. So a great pickup. A lot of great stuff in here. It comes with an episode of Ed, Edd n Eddy, Johnny Bravo, and Codename Kids Next Door. 3 fantastic shows. So definitely something I really wanted to have. But the case really ruins this. I really wish they would not have done that. And the last PVD I picked up was Yu-Gi-Oh! Volume 3. And this I actually got for free. I was only going to pick up those 2 other titles. The guy was nice enough just to throw this one in. And I've never gotten into Yu-Gi-Oh! It's a show I've never seen one single episode of. It's just, for whatever reason, never got into it. I was always a big fan of things like Pokemon and stuff, but never got into like Digimon, never got into Yu-Gi-Oh! Just never got into it. So for free, I figured I would definitely take it, obviously. And I'm looking forward to checking it out, because I just recently started to watch some Bakugan, which is another show I never got into, and I've liked what I've seen, so I have a feeling I'm actually going to enjoy this. Then I picked up 1 more PVD for a total of $1, another great deal, and that was Fairly Odd Parents Volume 4. This one coming with the episodes Shiny Teeth and Odd Odd West. This year's for the original black and white Video Now player, and for $1, had to grab it. Then I stopped at a table where I picked up 2 titles on VHS and 2 titles on DVD for a total of $5. And the first title on VHS I picked up was some Star Blazer, this year being Series 2, The Comet Empire, Volume 24. I knew nothing about this, looks to be some sort of anime. I figured, what the hell, I'd pick it up, check it out, and who knows, if I like it, I might pick up some more. Then I picked up Paleo World, Sea Monsters, a TLC documentary. And I used to be a big fan of History Channel, Discovery Channel, Learning Channel. I used to love those because they used to actually play documentaries. All they ever play now is reality TV, and I hate that. But I love picking up these documentaries whenever I can find them, because unfortunately, like I said, they don't really play many of them anymore, and they were fantastic, extremely well done, so I'm definitely looking forward to checking this out. Then on DVD I grabbed IMAX T-Rex Back to the Cretaceous. This, I'm sure, is going to be great. I love IMAX documentaries. I've never seen a single bad one. They're always really, really well done documentaries, and especially ones about the T-Rex sound great to me, so I definitely had to pick it up. And the last title I picked up from this table was definitely the best title I picked up from the table, and that was Dragon Ball Z Season 1. Remember, I paid only $5 for all 4 of these titles total, meaning I paid under $2 for this. The discs were in perfect shape, not scratched. This was a great pickup. They actually had another season as well, but unfortunately it was missing a disc, so I had to pass on that. But this here is in great shape, and for under $2, definitely a steal. And of course, I had to stop into Video Bonanza. However, this time it wasn't to get 5 free VHS tapes. This time I actually wanted to trade some stuff in. I had a few video game accessories and a console that I was getting rid of. They were just collecting dust in my basement. Figured I'd trade them in. I didn't get too much for them, but I did get some great titles out of them. I traded them in for store credit. And the first time I picked up was Breaking Bad Season 3. Loving this show. I had the first 2 seasons on Blu-ray. Unfortunately, I've only ever watched the first few episodes. I just never got around to finishing them off. And now they have Season 3. I'm definitely going to sit down and finally finish off the first 3 seasons, because from the few episodes I've seen of this, I'm loving it. This show seems brilliant, and I'm sure it's only going to get better. So I definitely had to pick this one up. Then I picked up The Adventures of Aquaman, the complete collection. Loving these classic DC animated cartoons. I used to actually watch these when I was a kid all the time. I used to watch them on TV. I remember that great Hanna-Barbera logo always coming around with that star. It really brings me back when I watch these. So this is definitely something I wanted to have in the collection, and definitely something I had to grab. Now those two titles there actually covered all of my store credit. However, they were having a sale that was buy two, get one free, and I got to pick up a title in whatever format I wanted, so I grabbed The Continental Divide on Laserdisc. This here's a movie I've wanted to see for a while now. Ever since I saw the John Belushi movie Wired, I've really wanted to check this one out because I do talk about it a little bit. And this is definitely something I really wanted to see. I've actually been eyeing up this Laserdisc for a while now. Every time I go in the store, I always think about picking it up, but for whatever reason, I always pass on it. So today, definitely had to grab it with my store credit. So that's it for what I bought today, so now it's what I watched. And I decided to start the Halloween Horror-thon off with a great title. A title that actually yesterday I said I really wanted to watch, and that was High Spirits. This was a movie I used to watch all the time as a kid, but it's one of those movies that I actually couldn't really remember all that well. It's a movie I remember watching, but didn't remember all that much about. And checking this one out tonight, it all came back to me. It's a great movie from 1988. It stars Peter O'Toole, Daryl Hannah, and the great Steve Guttenberg. I love him. So this here, it's a great watch. And the story's about Peter O'Toole. He has this castle that's basically going to get taken away from him because business is doing really bad. It's a castle hotel, and nobody's staying in it. So he gets this idea: if he advertises the castle as haunted, people are going to want to come and stay in the hotel. So he advertises it that way, sets up some really goofy, special effects and people swinging from ropes and stuff as ghosts, and it's really cheesy. And obviously, it's immediately debunked. Some American tourists come, and it's debunked immediately that it's actually haunted. However, as it turns out, there was actually a murder here. Daryl Hannah, she ended up getting murdered by her husband, and her and Steve Guttenberg actually end up falling in love, so he ends up falling in love with a ghost. And it's great. It's a real fun watch. It's not, super scary, but it's definitely a horror comedy, and it's really fun. And there's a great scene actually with some zombies. Love that. The makeup for the zombies is mediocre. There's a scene, and it's actually right here on the back, where Steve Guttenberg has to basically make out with kind of a zombie Daryl Hannah, because apparently if he has sex with her on Halloween, because apparently Halloween's the night where ghosts actually become flesh again, and by him having sex with her, she kind of comes to life and turns into this. She basically turns into a zombie because she looks like she would if she was 200 years old, all decaying and whatnot. Her makeup's actually pretty decent, but the scene where the zombies break through the wall and they all come crawling out, it's okay. It looks like maybe the makeup was a little bit rushed, but it's still a lot of fun. So this movie, yeah, I would definitely say pick it up. It is available on DVD, so I would say grab it. If you like horror comedies, it's definitely worth picking up. And Peter O'Toole, he's great in the movie. I love him. Daryl Hannah was good, and of course Steve Guttenberg. It's Steve Guttenberg. How can you go wrong with that? So this movie, I would definitely recommend picking up. I'm not going to ruin too much for you. It has, an interesting ending with somebody dying and somebody coming to life, but a great movie, and I would definitely recommend checking it out. So that's it for what I bought when I watched today. Definitely excited about the titles I picked up from the Quakertown Farmers Market. Got some great deals there, and I'm definitely looking forward to checking those out. And also starting off the Halloween Horror-thon with High Spirits. Love the movie. I would definitely recommend it. It's a great horror comedy from the 80s. Love the lineup, love the movie, and it was a great way to just start off the Halloween Horror-thon. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned to see what Halloween movie I watch tomorrow. See ya. So that's what I bought today, so now it's what I watched. And today I figured I'd start my Halloween Horror-thon title. So that's what I bought today, so now it's what I watched. And today I decided to start the shit. Now those two titles there actually covered all of my store credit. However, they were having a sale. It was buy two, get one free, and the second title... Damn it!